my mic. There we go. Now I believe you can hear me. Hopefully, sound is coming in good. Video's looking good. Yep, I think everything's looking good there. You guys let me know if you have any trouble listening to me or hearing me, excuse me. And I'll make some adjustments as we go here. And we'll get rolling. All right. Looks like everybody's checking in. Just say hello to everyone. Recognize a few people in the chat already. I believe the first guy on board tonight was Wild Horse Garage, one of our regulars. 2000 MCR. What's going on? Matt Plavidal. You're welcome for the hat. Thank you for buying one and choosing PBH. 20 Turbo 91. What's up? Blue 99. Let's go. Well, I'm here. I mean, right on time, actually. Rarely happens. Mike Vasquez, Juan Jimenez checking in. What's going on? Yeah, we're going to get to that Mach 1. We're going to get to a couple product updates that we have released officially. If you've been following us on our live broadcast, you probably know about the power steering pump upgrade because we did officially kind of loosely announce it on here. But now we have the video out and we have it on all of our applications and so forth. So it looks like everything's sounding good. What's going on? Renner 595959. I like that one. Let's see here. John W. Jr., what's going on, man? Everything looks good. All right, so we'll keep rolling. You need Alex Floor soundboard. He was actually just here, and we're talking about the soundboard. He did, and we'll see if we can implement it to what we do here. His show is a lot more colorful than what we have here as PBH, so we'll see exactly how we can implement such a great piece of technology to improve the show and go from there. Let me adjust my mic here real quick. A little uncomfortable. So anyway, we'll do some house cleaning things. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is PBH Live, episode, I believe, 13. We're going to be covering some product updates as it relates to our Degas bottle delete kit or our heater tube kit. We're also going to be talking about our new Coyote power steering pump option for our speed drive for your 5-liter Coyote and a Coyote Swap. We're going to talk about the Mach 1. What I want to kind of talk about in the Mach 1 is why potentially they didn't do the things that we want them to do, and is the car really, revolutionary or whatnot, which obviously we know it's probably not. And then we'll get into the chat room and get some of your tech questions answered. The super chat is open if you definitely have something you have to get answered right now or just want to give us some channel support. You can use that as a great mechanism. You can post in the chat. We will get to some of that stuff as much as we can within the hour. If we don't get to your question, don't give up. Email us info@pbhperformance.com and we will get you some answers as fast as possible. You can also call us 561-737-2331. Our website is pbhperformance.com. Please, if you haven't done it already, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our content. We just dropped a video yesterday officially announcing the revolver bracket for the speed drive using the GM Type 2 pump. And I'll be releasing a video tomorrow as it pertains to the hot water tube update, which is actually already posted on our website because we have them in stock and we've already run out of the older designs. So they are live. You can go on there and see them right now if you want. I'm going to show them to you here on the show. And you can get an idea what we're doing there and how it applies to some vehicles, maybe not all of them. So, what else was I going to cover? Oh, hats. Always something that comes up from the beginning because I always love wearing my PBH hats. And I have all my custom fun colors. We have come out with the gray and the black PBH hats. If you guys are interested in getting a hat, they are available. All you have to do is email me, which is, I'll put my email here on the screen, frank@pbhperformance.com. That will get you in contact with me so I can send you the PayPal information until we get a better system going. This is the best way to do it. Then I'll get it shipped out to you once we have payment. Hats are $25 shipped, so you can get either an option of a gray or a black. They're all snapback Richardson 112s, if you look them up, little trucker hats. Curved brim. We haven't really expanded the offerings just yet. We'll see what we do in the near future as far as different hats and so forth. We might even come up with a design specific to the PBH live show as it pertains to what we do here and at PBH in general. Maybe a Coyote Swap theme. We'll work on a few designs. We might even use one of the shows to kind of pick one. That'd be kind of fun too. So, yes, if you want a hat, email Frank at pbhperformance.com. I will get that directly. I'll put that link or that email in the description as well. I think it's already there, actually. And that way, if you definitely want to get a hat, we can get you hooked up. The updates, product-wise, we'll wait for the Mach 1 here in a second. Updates to the product. If you haven't been on the show, what we recently released on one of our YouTube videos on the channel itself and now available on our website is for our speed drive. Our speed drives have traditionally been set up to reuse all the accessories from the 4.6 modular Ford motor or the 5.4, which included mainly the power steering pump and the AC compressor. Now, a while back, we made some upgrades to start offering supercharged applications, and we also added the Sandon SD7 compressor. Now, that Sandon SD7 compressor, the reason we added that, a lot of the hot rod guys are using it, F100s, older Mustangs, and that's the compressor of choice. And it didn't really serve a purpose to force them into a modular Ford compressor, even though it worked. Mainly that's for the guys working in Fox bodies, SN95s, new edge cars, even Lightnings and stuff like that, where they already have the compressor, and we're going to try to save you some money so you can reuse it. And we're also going to put it in the stock location that you would find on your 4.6. Now, when that gets translated over to a hot rod, street rod, resto mod, something along those lines, it doesn't have as much impact, it doesn't have as much value, I would say. So the Sandon SD7 compressor made a lot more sense for those guys to use it, and it opened us up to work with a lot more builders, and it was a lot easier to sell the stuff, period. We've done the same thing with the power steering pump. Now, the question I keep getting since we've launched that video is, what's wrong with the modular Ford pump? The answer really is there's nothing really wrong with it. It's set up to be in a 96 to 04 Mustang. Actually, 96 to 2010 Mustang. Now, what's unique about that is that modular Ford power steering pumps are set up for Hydro Boost. Even though the S197 versions didn't have Hydro Boost, they still maintained the pressure. Don't know why they did that, but as it related to Hydro Boost, and if you talk to any company like Hydrotech or any of those companies that have Hydro Boost, they are going to tell you that when you want good brake pedal feel from a Hydro Boost system, you need higher pressure from the pump. So those modular Ford power steering pumps are set up for 1200, 1300 psi of pressure relief. Now you're going to see that when you apply the brake and turn the wheel, it's going to be able to maintain that pressure, even though it's making more than that and bypassing it. It's going to maintain that pressure so your pedal doesn't get soft and your steering doesn't get hard. In an older vehicle, let's continue on the modular Ford pump real quick. Flow, only 2.2 to 2.4. Now that's designed for basically the steering racks, Fox body all the way through New Edge up through S197, which is 05 to 2010. That's what they use. That's what that rack was designed to use. So you can continue to use it like that. But if you're a guy who's doing a Coyote Swap and you want the PBH speed drive and your Bronco has a gearbox, it may have Hydro Boost, but it's got a gearbox. Well, I got the pressure I need, but I need more flow to make sure that gearbox doesn't rob all the flow and kind of get heavy on me, especially when I put these big honking tires. And what about this? What if you have a race car with 315s on it and you need more flow to be able to get that rack to give you more input? You need more flow, and I can't deliver that to you if we're using the modular Ford pump because nobody makes those components to do so. Nobody hot rods these things. So we found ourselves in a position where we can make a new bracket and offer the GM Type 2 power steering pump, which is available in just about every flavor, every color, every combination you can think of. And adapting it to the PBH speed drive was a no-brainer for us. So we still have all the great options for the Mustang crowd as it's related to the Fox bodies and so forth. But even those guys, in some cases like myself, we're road racing, we're autocrossing, that GM Type 2 pump might have an advantage over the modular Ford pump because I can get it in whatever combination I want to try different things with steering feel and pressures and so forth. Now, there are a lot of them out there. There's only a few that we're going to offer through here that we know we're vetting, through our own testing. So you don't have to buy the pump from us. If you want a chrome one, a black one, or whatnot, they're all out there. There's cheap ones from China. There's really expensive ones from Turn 1 Steering, from Detroit Speed, you name it. You can max it out. KRC has some cog drive versions of it that are nasty, used in NASCAR and round-around racing. So there's a lot of tech out there for those pumps, which is really, really nice because you have all the options you need if you do have to do something custom. Is it quieter, noisier? I don't know yet. The modular Ford pumps I always used and we've used on projects here have been nice and quiet. Mine started making noise, but I think it was self-induced because I had a problem with the reservoir that I was using. And I kind of wiped it out and it was worn out and so forth. So it got a little noisy on me through some of the steering input stuff that I did. I put the GM Type 2 pump on there, and the first one I got unfortunately failed right out of the box. So we had to work through all that, and we ended up getting a stock replacement one right off the part shelf, a Reman from Vision, cheapest little pump we can get our hands on. And sure enough, this thing works just fine, but she's noisy right out of the box. Could it be that it's Reman or not? We don't know. Is it because our lines, because our reservoir? We're still working through a lot of those things, but it works nonetheless. So we know that's going to be a good option for you. We have a Detroit speed pump we're going to put on my car here in the next week or so. Get out, I think, on the 26th to PBIR for the Auto X, and we'll test it with the Detroit speed pump versus the old Vision pump and see how it works out. But it's available. It's available for our naturally aspirated applications and all the supercharged applications. VMP, Roush, Whipple, Edelbrock. Even the Pro Chargers could probably use this as well. So it is available. It's available on our website, and you can rock and roll with it. One quick thing I did want to mention as well, apparel-wise, is my good friend Kyle Newton. He has a website, I think it's MustangLab.com or Kyle Newton Art, and he does Mustang-themed shirts. He's got some pretty cool designs on there. I'm wearing one of them tonight. It's reminiscent of the number 15 from the Bud Moore Mustang Trans Am from the original ones, not what you see on the FR500 stuff. So if you check out his stuff, you like some of the gear that he's got, like the shirt I'm wearing today. I'll wear some other ones on some other shows that he did because he made some special shirts for a race team that I was part of for the 24 Hours of Cuba del Norte, which was a Lemons race. And he has some of the Palm Beach Mustang Club stuff that I was president of for a while. So check it out, Kyle Newton Art, or Mustang Lab. He has some tech articles in there too. They're a little old, but they're still good tech in case you have something going on those lines. Alejandro Flores has chimed in. He says, I was going to spend this on a date, but put this towards a second monitor purchase. Mach 1, hashtag Mach 1 dud, hashtag adult dollar. Thank you very much, Alex. You know you don't have to do that. But I'll use it for the intended use. We'll get some more equipment, try to make this. We're always trying to improve this. We got some other things on the docket that we're going to get as far as camera gear and maybe even redoing some of the area behind me here so it doesn't keep shifting around and, kind of just look in place, but actually planned out and pro, get some pro tips like we love to say. So thank you again for that donation. All these donations through the Super Chat go right back into the channel to develop more content, get better equipment, and so forth, and make it more fun to watch. So, the Mach 1. Controversial in these controversial times. It's a new car from Ford. Not necessarily a new car, it's a Mustang. And they've thrown a bunch of hot rod gear at it. We'll start with styling, the way it looks. Let's take a look at it here. Here is the Mach 1. The Mach 1 looks like our Generation 3 or 18 and up Mustangs. Here it is next to some of the vintage Mach 1s, which is iconic body style and so forth. Now, it's getting knocked because it doesn't really look like a Mach 1 in a way, because it doesn't really have a whole lot of keynote designs that look like the vintage cars. And is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. It's hard for Ford to continue to make new cars look like old cars because old cars are old cars and the marketplace isn't exactly born, around vintage vehicles and going to cruise nights. So it still has to look like a new car. It has to continue to evolve with the styling that they have, and they're trying to do as much as they can there to kind of pay homage to the older vehicles, the cars of their pastime, their bones, their bread and butter, what's made them Mustangs. And they also took all this technology they had in the GT350, they kind of threw it at it. They fell short on the 5.2 Voodoo, but that's not a big deal because those engines, although very special, kind of had their issues here and there, and they're trying to probably keep the price cap in a certain spot. Still gave us a strong engine. I think they're rated at like 480 horsepower. It looks like they're going to have two different packages, maybe like a performance package with a bunch of coolers and stuff like that, maybe more of a visual package. There's a picture of a blue one that doesn't have all the great tires and everything on there, but they did address something interesting. They changed the transmission. Now, the MT82 transmission, it's safe to say it doesn't have everyone's 100% approval. It's been plagued with issues. Oh, I don't like the way it shifts. It broke. Some people say it's the way you drive it. Some people say it's parts. You just got to upgrade it. It's fine. But realistically, it falls short on a couple areas. That's why there's a market to upgrade them and rebuild them. That's why they exist, right? We get the DCT in the GT500, and it is a groundbreaker as far as Ford stuff goes. We have this new Mach 1 coming out with all this GT350 gear, which the DCT, I mean, you put a DCT in a GT350, and I think you probably have one of the best cars that Ford's ever produced. They didn't do that, probably because they didn't want to compete with the GT500, which was coming out. Came out late, which is why we had so many years of the GT350. We usually don't have specialty vehicles for more than two years at a time. And the 350 was never planned to have that long of a production run, but they didn't have anything else ready, I'd imagine. So here we are, and we get this Mach 1, and they have all this GT350 gear in it, and they don't put the DCT in it. Now, they don't put the DCT in it probably because either speculation-wise, they probably have some sort of contract with Tremec where they can't put it in another vehicle until that one's vetted and they've worked through all the stuff. Or maybe they just don't want to put it out there to compete head-to-head with the GT500, because if you take this Mach 1, for example, and we put a positive displacement blower on there, all the ones that we know are available on the market, and it has 800 horsepower and a DCT, and it's a PP3 package with Magna Ride, and it comes in maybe $10,000 cheaper than the GT500, what makes the GT500 so special now, other than just the engine and the badging? So they need to keep that separation between the models. That's why you don't see them all come out at the same time. It's a little bit different, I think, for some of the European companies. I think, like, you know, BMW and Porsche, when they have a GT3 or an M4 or something like that, that's just a model. It's not a special production run. It's just a model of car, and you can order it as long as it's available in the order books, just like we can go in and order an F350 black with tan interior and a Lariat or whatever. So it's a little bit different ball game for Ford. They always do these short production runs to make you feel special and keep the production numbers down. I don't know what attributes to that, but styling wise, I think it's going to fall short for a lot of the Mustang enthusiasts. I don't want to put too much emphasis on how it looks or even how it performs, because this guy right here has never bought a brand new Mustang. So I'm not really a massive target customer for Ford, because I got my coupe. I don't know if I would ever buy a new car, maybe when I get older and it's going to be easier to drive or whatever. Maybe this becomes some sort of nostalgic model and I got to track it down eventually because it proves itself to be some sort of special thing. Who knows? But they did address the MT82 and they put the 3160 transmission in there from the GT350. The problem with that transmission is it doesn't like power. We haven't seen too many GT350s that have had a surviving 3160 behind it. So here we are with this Mach 1 with all this great stuff. It comes in cheaper, more or less, than the GT350, and I still can't add power to it. I still need to upgrade the transmission. This is kind of like a bad thing. It seemingly just keeps happening to all our specialty cars from Ford. We got the Boss 302. Oh, we finally got our track car in 2012, right? We finally got our track car. We had FR500s and this and that and all these other things that were going on in cars that looked like our cars, but we weren't getting them on the street. They give us the Boss 302. They knock it out of the park with the styling, and they put the MT82 in there, probably for budget reasons, when it should have had a 56 or a 6060 or something. And guess what? Everyone that owned a Boss 302 loved the car. It was a brute on the track. It did everything right, but it always had clutch or transmission issues. So here we are. We get into 2015. We got an IRS finally. Wow. Now the car is getting even better, and they still stick us with the MT82, and it has some issues. It's improved, and of course you can upgrade it and get past all that stuff. But they knew there was issues there, so budget reasons, whatever, they stuck with it. They're developing the DCT. We hear about it. There's rumors about it. We're excited about it. It's probably going to be the future of these Mustangs, whether they're electric or gas or diesel or whatever. And sure enough, we get GT350. They come out with a Tremec transmission. It's great for a naturally aspirated car, but as soon as you put boost to it, which, hey, is debatable if you should be putting boost to a GT350 or not, and it starts having problems. Clutch, shifting, that kind of stuff. Bullet Mustang comes out, not expected to be anything major as far as groundbreaking performance-wise, because the Bullet's always been more of a visual nose makeover, color change, nostalgic kind of thing. We got the MTA2, no big deal. We get the GT500, and they finally unleashed the DCT. We know it's amazing. We know it works great. They have another model coming out called the Mach 1, and they don't give it to us. Damn you. I wish they would have done it, because that car would have really stepped out from the crowd, but I don't think the timing was right. I think the GT500 coming out later than it should have, for whatever reason, which it was rumored that it was the transmission that was that delay, kind of threw a monkey wrench and all these things. But, you know, how many people are really going to line up to go buy a $70,000, $80,000 Mach 1 when there's a $80,000, $90,000 GT500 sitting there with more power from the factory? So it doesn't make sense to come out with too many things of the same scenario, same makeup. So we'll see what they do. I hope the DCT becomes something that we can put into either swaps or get into some factory, car. I wish it was something they could just release as a package, like a PP3 GT. It only comes with the DCT. It comes with the upgraded wheels, the Michelin tires, all the coolers, all the splitter, all the aero stuff. But it's just a GT. It doesn't have to be a special model production run. Now, there's got to be some mechanics to that, and most likely it has to do with dollars that leads them down that path. But it would be great if they can just give us all the cool stuff in a GT, because we don't always have the jack to get a special package or whatnot. So we'll see. I don't think it's ever going to change, and it's not up to me to change anyway. A good example of that exactly is if you watch the documentary A Faster Horse, which is about getting the job one with the 15 Mustang. There is a scene in that movie where they're sitting at a conference table and an engineer comes up and says, I got a problem with a molding. And literally there's a guy at the end of the table with 2 laptops out and a bunch of books. And he goes, what's the problem? He goes, it was cut wrong and it's going to be short on the assembly. And the guy asks, how much does it cost to fix the moldings for the upcoming production run? It says 34 cents or something like that. And he looks up in amazement. He goes, absolutely not. He goes, you got like 3 or 4 cents per model to get this fixed, or they're all short. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is proof that the accountants run a lot of stuff. And that's how we end up with weird things. Really weird things to cut a buck here and there. And it makes sense, because if you're building 1 million vehicles, 10 cents means a lot of money. But you think about something so minuscule as that, and then the option to maybe run a DCT versus this or that, they're always going to go and side on saving money and making profit and making sure the vehicles are separated enough. So most likely a lot of those decisions were made in that sense, in that vision, but we're not inside the boardroom to know for sure. So we'll just leave it speculatory and know that the Mach 1 is a good looking car. It's not ugly. It's not hideous. Do you want a shaker scoop? It depends on your taste. I'm sure CDC will make one, or somebody will come out with a fiberglass one you can rivet onto the hood or something like that. I thought, me in particular, I always liked the older Mach 1s, 03, 04. They came automatic or manual, had an 8-bolt crank in the automatics, they can handle a little bit more power, this and that. And they had some cool features for a car that was old and had been used in every single thing. And they didn't really upgrade the suspension. They just gave us a Cobra motor with a stick and a cool hood scoop and some badging. It worked. Those cars they're sought after still. So is the Bullet from that era. Is this Mach 1 going to be that? Because the base car is good. So the trouble is, to improve on the base car, you got to take a big step. And money-wise, does it price it out of the market for them? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they come out with some more cool stuff. I always like that they make changes and try to stretch the kind of stretch what they can do with the chassis and so forth. So I like that they did it, and I'd like to see other improvements, but that's not up to me. So F-150, S550, hola amigo, gracias. Thank you for the donation there. It will be used to improve the channel. As you can see, we just keep making changes here and there, and things are getting a little bit better here and there. But you guys tell me. I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat room there, but is the Mach 1 a pedestal? You know, you're on your Mount Rushmore of Mustangs. What do you have? You know, are you more of a vintage guy that says, "Oh, I got to have a Boss 9"? Oh, I'd love to have a Bud Moore Trans Am car, or even something simple like an 01 Bullet. That wasn't the most powerful thing in the world, but it looked good. It was special. Had a cool intake manifold. Had just enough power to go out and get yourself in trouble, but it was never going to be anything major. And today, it's really behind the 8 ball because you basically have to Coyote Swap the damn thing to have a chance. So those are things to consider. Post up your Mount Rushmore of Mustangs. Factory Mustangs, not factory racing Mustangs. Let's keep it to cars you can buy right off the showroom. Give me the top 4 Mustang models that you would want to have in your garage, or just by rating them how you like them, and put it in the chat there, and we'll go over it and see what the great options are. I think for me, I think I'd probably go. I have to think about this for a second. I think I'd go 2000 Cobra R. Be definitely on that list. I would love to just have a stock LX coupe. Just bone stock stick. I really do like the 01 Bullet. I think that car was very special to me. I was a fan of the movie and so forth, that kind of shit. But I just like the way the car looked with no wing and so forth. And then I think for a nice fun car to drive, I think it'd be one of these Performance Pack 2 or 3 1819 cars. I think it's solid. I think that car comes with just about everything I need. The GT500, yeah, I mean, I guess you can replace that last one with the new GT. Yeah, I'd have to have that new GT500. I'd have to have it. Color-wise, all of them white. It can't get the 2000 Cobra R in white, can't get the Bullet in white, but everything else in white. That'll work for me. But you guys tell me. We'll allow the Celines and the Steeda packages and the Roushes and so forth. But give me your top 4, your Mount Rushmore of what Mustangs you would like to have and why. Put in as much information as you can. Mike B, thank you for the support, buddy. Really appreciate it, man. Helps us grow the channel and do some more cool stuff here. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat here. Alex was in here popping off. Let's see here. Stimulus money. Yeah, 2000 MCR is chiming in on the power steering pumps being noisy. I've had a few calls and emails recently about that, and what I've seen, the easiest way to get as much air out as possible is with the engine off, working the wheel lock to lock. Work it lock to lock so that it gets all the air bubbles out. Get a friend to come watch the reservoir and see if it starts getting better or if it just keeps continuing to do the same thing. Fire it up, do the same thing, lock to lock, shut it off, lock to lock, and in some cases even leave it at full lock overnight for an extended period of time to see if any bubbles come out. If it continues to have bubbles or the tank is really pressurized, you might be cavitating. It could have an issue where you're not feeding it properly and that pump is just spinning without getting fluid into it. So there's either something wrong with the pump or the way you're feeding it, and while it's moving, it's creating basically air bubbles in pockets. So keep that in mind as well. I'm going to take another sip of my sparkling ice caffeine drink. This one's blue raspberry. It's really good. Very nice. So anyway, let's see what else we got going on. Wild Horse Garage says the Mach 1 has a non-functional upper grill ducts, no DCT. TR3160 is not that much stronger than MT82 in my opinion. I see all the same stuff. I'm not really sure what they're getting away with there on the grill. I think they're trying to pay homage again to some of the older cars, but maybe they couldn't fit fog lamps because that area is too tight with all the coolers they're putting in there. So they just put blank outs like they did on the Boss 302. And then they subsequently gave the GTs, fog lamps and so forth in that era. So I'm not really sure what they're doing there. Why they just, unless it's some sort of an LED lamp that I don't know about, but LEDs are pretty shallow. I would think if they really needed to put fog lamps in there, they could. Now, of course, will be the race to put fog lamps there, air intakes there, brake ducts there. They'll be making chrome rings to go around them, chrome bumper stick-on pieces to make it look like the older Mustangs. So that'll be fun to watch. But I'm not really sure what the function, form there. On the GT350s, they paid a lot of attention to the grill area and they closed it down for a reason. You don't really see that happen on the Mach 1, and it has all these coolers. So interesting point there. Mark Warren says, now that he's here, the party can start. Mark, I hate to inform you, but the party started without you a while ago, buddy. I love you, though. Thanks for tuning in. Jose Delgado, dream on. Wildhort like the 60 power engineers. Let's see here. Jason Freeberg, is it just me, or does it seem like Ford has always went cheap on the stick shift transmission, going all the way back to the glass third gear in the Borg Warner T5 and the Fox bodies? Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. They've always been a weak point. But, again, what if it's not really Tremec's fault or Getrag? Maybe it's the pencil pusher saying, hey, listen, the transmission has to cost this or it's not going in. And they're building a transmission that can hang with the bare minimum of their testing or what people do with it. And then we get them and take them even further. So is it really the engineer's fault or whatnot? Is the accountant? Is it what Ford's doing? How successful would they be if they just overbuilt every vehicle? Would it really be, smart money spent? I don't know. I don't see that stuff or how it works, but we'd all like to have better equipment in our cars if it was available to us. And we know the stuff's available. It's right there. It's in another car. Can you just put it in my car? And that's where we come in. We start swapping stuff out and making stuff happen, improving cars and helping you guys do it. So let's see here. Doug Fidelki. I always butcher his name. Gen 2 swap, Gen 2 control block in a 93 Fox Dakota Digital Dash. What gauges and sensors work with the OBD2 box, and what ones need physical sensors on the engine? Oil pressure is going to be number one there. You're always going to want to run their oil pressure sender that they give you. Water temp can be pulled from the OBD2. Voltage can be pulled from the OBD2 or the CAN bus. Your tachometer will come from that. Also, if you have a 6R80, it should have, through the CAN bus, a speed signal. Now, for it to be accurate, the tune has to be accurate, and the tune always has to be accurate in a 6R80 anyway, so the shift schedule will be accurate. Water temp, all those things, they're available. And then there's a set of parameters that you can scroll through that are also select CAN bus signals that you can look at through the digital part of the Dakota Digital Dash. And I believe there you can get stuff like IAT, throttle percentage, similar to what the N-Gauge has, but just kind of truncated down. If you're not going to use the CAN bus module, then you need to use a water temp sender they give you. Put that somewhere on the Coyote engine, whether it be a radiator hose or the water neck on the top of the engine. Oil pressure sender as well. You're going to need some sort of a tach input, tach driver to not only get the tach signal into the gauges, but make sure it's accurate. Voltage could be added in very easily just by tapping into any of the key power wires under the dash, even to the tumbler, because it's going to see the voltage the alternator's putting out. Fuel level sender, that's an interesting one. Fuel level sender, for the most part, on the factory cars, whether it's Fox body, I'm not sure about S197 and stuff yet, but all that stuff should be able to be used. You don't have to change it. You just got to wire it and then select it in the programming. One of the things you can do is actually put a multimeter on it for ohms and see if you remove the fuel sender out or just drain the tank, see what the ohm reading is, and then fill it up and see what that ohm reading is, and then select that one for your gauge so it's accurate. Or you're just going to go through each one of them until you find the right one or you run out of gas on the side of the road. That's happened to one of our customers, unfortunately. We had to fix that. So that would be kind of the list of things that you can run through as far as different combinations with the CAN bus or not. Let's see here. Rod Coots 2013 Mustang GT with a 6R80 swap into a 69 F100. Will the speedometer and backup lamps work using the PBH control pack and Dakota Digital gauges? Thanks, Frank and PBH. Rod, you are welcome. As far as using our control pack for speedometer and the backup lamps on our transmission harness that we offer as an add-on to our control packs, we do give a speedometer signal, power, and a ground down at the transmission connector, the round one. Now, the reason we're able to do that is because that stuff's available from the factory. So in your factory harness, there's a brown and green wire down at that connector that on a 6R80 is considered to be the OSS. It's going to be your speed signal. It's going to be giving you whatever the factory PPM is, pulse per mile. So that can be used with an adapter to go to whatever gauges you're using. If you're using Dakota Digital, they do have a speed calibrator tool that allows you to take the factory PPM and adjust it to what their gauges work off of so that it's accurate. They also have a GPS module that isn't much more expensive, and you don't have to do any of that stuff. But it is doable using that brown and green wire in a stock harness. If you have our harness, it is 3 blunt leads coming right out of that connector. That harness is only $299. It has that. It has extended forward O2s. The rear O2s are removed because this is for off-road vehicles. And it's got all factory connectors and plugs right in and works great if you need one. If you already have one, a factory one, then the brown and green wire is the one you want to use for that signal. But you can't cut it and resend it to the gauges. You got to just tap into it because it still needs to go to the computer. As far as backup lamps, that's something you're going to have to find via micro switch on either a shifter or on a shift lever, something, because it's in the CAN bus only. And you got to basically sniff it out with a CAN bus box. It's a filter, essentially, that then will find that signal when it turns on, that address, and then give you a ground out of the box to then mate it to the power at a lamp and turn it on. That hasn't been developed yet. Something we've been working on. It's just been slowed down dramatically with the COVID stuff. But you don't have that available to you in any wiring from the factory. So you'll have to use micro switches or some sort of toggle switch, something along those lines to get reverse signal to the lights and turn them on so people know you have reverse lights. So those are your 2 options there. Let's see here. Got some other stuff coming in. JD 2-valve. Can my stock evap system be deleted on my swap if I'm going to run a lethal performance return style fuel system? Well, you can delete a lot of the components that are part of your evap system, but you still have to vent the tank. And that's essentially what the evap system is doing, but it's recirculating that stuff for safety reasons. They don't want a bunch of gas fumes in your garage or your basement if the car sits. And on a hot day, it vents as well. So older cars, my 67 Falcon just literally has a hose coming out, and you smell fuel on a hot day. If the tank's low, it creates a lot of vapor, comes out. So can you delete a lot of the components? Yes, but you still have to vent the tank properly. And there's all sorts of stuff out there in the aftermarket to filter it, to help with the smell of it. It is an open port to the tank, so if the tank doesn't have a rollover valve built into that venting system from the factory, you may want to put one in, because if you're in a rollover accident, you don't want all the fuel just pouring out, like in the movies where you're kind of looking around, there's fire for no reason and your tank's leaking. That's obviously dangerous. And fuel vapor itself, again, is more flammable than gasoline. So if you had a bucket of gasoline, 5 gallons full, it's less flammable than a 5-gallon bucket with 1 gallon of gasoline and a lid on it. Fuel vapor is more. That's why you see some videos where people randomly catching on fire at the gas station because they're wearing a big wool sweater because they're going out fancy night, and they go to open the gas tank and they're static in their sweatshirt, and all this fuel vapor comes out because the tank's low and you've been driving and it's hot, and all of a sudden you got a torch running around the gas station. So keep those things in mind. If you're going to modify that system, try to make sure you do as safe as possible, and make sure you're keeping all those things in mind while you're making your changes. because you don't want that fuel vapor going anywhere near an exhaust system or something electrical. Just make sure you do your homework there. John Lucero, thank you very much, my friend. He says, I want a gray hat and black. Gray and black. Tell Alejandro I want him to sign it, LOL. I'll see if I can get him to sign it. I think he's got plenty of pink Sharpies left over from his stuff that he signed. So we'll see if we can get you one of those. Or maybe we'll get him to go get some headshots done. I'm supposed to actually, I'll do some headshots and we'll get some 8x10s and we'll have him sign it. That'll work. And we'll send you with a hat. John, if you definitely want a hat, email me, frank@pbhperformance.com. Give me your information, and that will get you set up with the hats, and we'll get you a gray and a black one. F-150, S550 on my swap, I get speed on gauge cluster, but not on my N gauge any input. Well, the N gauge should definitely be picking up speed because it is reading it right from the CAN bus. So make sure, and I speak as in, or as related to the Lund Racing N gauge. That's the one I have experience with. We get it with that, and it's got to be there because if you don't have a speed signal, the powertrain's just not going to shift properly. So double check that your N gauge has that address. If it's an HP Tuners versus a Lund Racing one, it may be something there, but it may be something you have to update there, or just keep digging until you find it, because it is definitely there. Especially you have proof that's on your cluster, you're getting something. If it's driving, it's definitely getting it. So it's just a matter of plucking it out through the N gauge. Jose Delgado says that's why you touch your car before pumping gas. Yeah, you want to discharge that static somehow so you don't become a human torch. Bobby Wortman, it's good to see you, man. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And thank you for joining us here tonight. Donald Fuller, is there anyone that specializes in 4-cylinder EcoBoost swaps? Not that I've seen. I mean, definitely not at our level, I would say. I mean, we're pretty unique when it comes to this kind of stuff, because I think I've mentioned before, a lot of companies kind of zero in on one part of the swap, and they really can't help you much with other parts of it. We've kind of filled this gap where we kind of touch all parts of the swap and can get you solutions for all of them. We may not have every single one of them, but we have a lot more available to us than what you see online. So we always implore you that if you're trying to plan something out, email us, call us. Email us and call us so that we can help you and get those things out there that you don't even know we have, or we do have, or we don't have, or whatnot, or at least tell you where to get it. I will touch on this. We get criticized from time to time. A lot of folks will say that, we're a little pricey on our parts. I don't want to come off the wrong way, but those parts, the parts that we manufacture, they're priced like that for a reason. And those pricing, it leads to everything that we can do, even this, what we're doing here right now. So we work very, very hard to keep it under control, knowingly in a good price range. Building it here in the States helps. Well, that's something that we just want to do. We don't want to ship the stuff off to China. We try in everything that we do to keep things as economic as possible. If it doesn't fit your budget, I totally understand. We just ask everyone to kind of be respectful of the fact that we're doing this when no one else is doing it, and we're stepping out to do those things and taking those chances. So if it doesn't fit your budget, don't say that it's too expensive, because you're comparing it to what? Some of our products have no competition out there. So for you to say it's too expensive, you really don't have a good comparison to go off of. And our speed drive, for example, I think that thing prices out exactly how a vintage air setup is. And there's all sorts of other options, and we don't fault anybody for using them. It's just, we try really, really hard. I mean, these parts are as much a part of us personally as they are part of our catalog. We've got investment into everything, whether it be the investment in dollars, the effort we do, I forget what you call it. I lost my train of thought, but we really put our own heart and soul into these things. It's just not something we come up with or is handed to us, or that we copy from somebody else and improve it. we really try to be and work well with our vendors that we work with. The products, some of the products we carry aren't our products. In fact, they're guys that come up with stuff that are on these Coyote Swap boards, and we reach out to them and respectfully ask for a discount and buy them in bulk, and in a way help them get their word out on their product in a sense, and it helps us build and bolster our catalog. We have no problem doing that. So just keep those things in mind. When you're asking somebody who specializes in 4-cylinder EcoBoost swaps, there aren't a whole lot of them out there. The few that I've seen are just kind of standard issue stuff. Manual transmission, not a whole lot else going on. There's a few at SEMA. There's one I saw done by, I think it's Dakota, or it was in the Good Guys coverage of Texas when we went. The car is really, really nice. We thought it would be more popular than it is. It just hasn't taken off of too much. And those engines are a little problematic as well as far as boosting them and so forth. Let's see. Jay Lopez says, hey, Frank, any updates on the Coyote Swap 3-valve harness? We have more of them going out to guys that have been waiting. So we're waiting to get some feedback from them. And then we'll be working on manufacturing that finally. So same thing with the Gen 3 10R80 F-150 harness. There's a couple of things going on out there. A couple of different people working on it. We have one out. We're waiting for that to get installed so we can see how it works and if it's something that we can apply to help everyone use their Gen 3 10R80 F-150 powertrains and the manual transmission version if you're using the Ford Racing Control Pack. F-150 S550, it's lung gauge, but a big red 0 on the display. Then I'm not sure, F-150 S550, I'm not sure if what you're seeing on your dashboard is accurate then. If you're not getting any speed signal through the CAN bus, I'm not sure. I've never run into that because that's all internal to the transmission. So potentially either we have a problem with communication between the transmission and the computer, where you're going to have to test the pin on the transmission to see if there's a signal and see if it's getting through the harness. Because I know those pins, that round connector on the transmission, since you have a little lever and you can lock it, sometimes they can get jammed and lose signal and so forth. Or it's going to be internal to transmission, so you're talking about the lead frame, which is where that connector is part of. If it really doesn't have the signal, I don't think it's going to drive. I don't know if it will or not. I've never encountered that myself, so. Let's see here. CPG, I saw on the website you offer a body harness swap to work with a control pack for 15 to 17 F-150 engines. Will I be able to swap in Mustang cams? We'll have to change things if I do that down the line. The harness that we offer, and we'll preface this with this, that the Gen 2 powertrains have 2 harnesses. Engine, transmission are one harness, body harness is the other. In the control pack, you get the body harness with PCM and all the accompanying pieces. What we modify and give you as a separate product for the F-150 engine is the engine transmission harness. So we offer it for automatic and manual, but the engine has to stay F-150 cam. If you're putting Mustang cams in there, then all you have to do is get a stock Mustang harness and you're in business. So as long as it's timed like a Mustang, has Mustang camshafts, it is a Mustang engine for all intents and purposes as far as the computer's related. And all you have to do is switch out your F-150 harness and put a stock Mustang one in, and it'll work with your control pack. I think that's Jack Hidley. J Hidley 1. Jack, if that's you, please post up and confirm this, but I think it's him. And I'll wait till he confirms it to tell you how special that guy is. He says, Frank, we are still working on a Fox Swap EcoBoost kit. Jack, if that's you, if that's the right Jack, there can't be too many Jack Hidleys out there. Just confirm for me in the chat, buddy, because I'm going to let everybody know who you are and how special you are, especially as it relates to my car and how influential you've been in your company. Yep, it's him. Okay, so Jack Hidley. If you guys don't know who Jack Hidley is, this guy is he's a really nice guy. Known him for years. Always super helpful, and he is one of the brains behind a lot of the stuff that happens at Maximum Motorsports. Jack helps develop stuff. I'm not sure exactly the exact position, Jack, so you have to clarify that for people if they're wondering. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. but Jack is a big part of that, and they produce some really, really cool parts. It's everything I have on my car, and literally you can send them a spec sheet on what you have going on. He sends you the sheet, you fill it out, he sends it back to you and says, these are the parts you need. These are the springs, here's this, here's that, here's your toe settings, here's that setting, and so forth. And in fact, Jack, I finally got the lower rate springs to update my own car for the autocross, so I'll be doing that soon, and I'll let you know how it turns out. But thank you for joining us, Jack. He says they're working on a Fox Swap EcoBoost kit. So for the gentleman, Jay, I think it was Jay, was it? Yeah, oh no, that was on the 3-valve harness. Who's the EcoBoost guy? Oh, Donald Fuller. Jack Hidley is a good guy to know exists, and Maximum Motorsports is working on something for you. I think they were working on K-member stuff and maybe even a power steering solution as well. We looked into it as well. We had some things drawn up, but again, demand has kind of been a little weak in a sense. So, but Jack, thank you for joining us. I didn't know you were tuning into our shows here, man. I really appreciate it. And if there's anything you guys ever want me to announce or put on here that's Coyote Swap related, EcoBoost related, just email me, let me know, and I'll put it up for you, brother. Those guys are awesome. Jason Freeberg is asking, is the black hat the one that you're wearing? No. The whole reason these hats came about, we were making hats for a while, and what happened was all the hats grew legs and left, and they never got paid for. So for a long time, we stopped making hats, and then said, you know what? I'm going to start doing videos. I'm going to wear hats in there because in the thumbnails, it's another way to advertise our company. So I had the hats made, and I had them made in a bunch of different colors because I was going to mix them into the different thumbnails and backgrounds and stuff like that. Whatever. So this hat here is an example of that. The hat that we're selling, because we can get these in, kind of fits the most demand. This is the black one here, black on black tonal, and we have the gray on gray tonal. Both have the black back, they're snapback, Richardson 112s. These are the hats that we're offering. So you hit us up, Frank at pbhperformance.com, and then I'll set you up with a PayPal link to pay for them. They're $25 each, shipped, continental US. All right. Jose Delgado mentions that research and development costs money. Absolutely, everything costs money, and I don't want to come off on any type of high horse here or whatnot. We're very straightforward with what goes on. It does cost a lot of money to have the right people, to have the building, to have availability, technology. Even when we were running a service shop, connectivity, access to Ford database, to internet, to upgrade things, to tune them, all that stuff, it costs Jack, man. It costs, and it factors in to what you're doing. The other thing to consider too is if you sell something at 10% over cost, you make this much money. In reality, you're losing money, because if you made 100 of those and you only charge 10% over cost to get a bunch of them sold, you didn't make enough money to make the next batch. So you're going to lose money again, and lose money again, and lose money again. So there's a formula to it, and we have to abide by it, because that's the only way we're going to continue to be able to make more products and continue to keep up with the pace of keeping the stuff in stock too. So it's not all, it ain't easy. I guarantee you that. And, we've never addressed it. Maybe I shouldn't even addressed it, because it's kind of a Pandora's box kind of thing, but I know Jack knows what I'm talking about. It just does cost a lot of money. And if now we're trying to hold people over the coals here, it's just, we work hard to try to, our machinist is always trying to save time on manufacturing stuff, and he's amazing and works with us every step of the way. But even with that, we still got to make something to keep the lights on. So, Mr. King, hey Frank, thinking about a Coyote Swap for a 3-valve, what would be the max power of a Gen 2 F-150 Coyote? Well, from what I've seen in the Gen 2 F-150s themselves, they can handle quite a bit of power. So I'd say 700 horsepower pump gas. That's your peak. After that, you need octane. Could you take it up to 800 horsepower like the Mustang? Maybe. I would say that 700 is probably a safe number. 650, 700, 800, even in a Mustang, we're pushing the envelope. So keep that in mind. Let's see here, Jackson. Yep. Doug. Doug mentioned, oh, he's talking about Jack. He's great to talk to and take care of my Maxim Motorsport setup on my car. Absolutely. I got a lot of those conversations with him, and I actually got to meet him at Bradenton a few years ago at NMRA and got to hang out with him. And it was great. It was great putting a face to the name and shaking the hand before the apocalypse where now we can't shake hands. So it was a good time. Jay Lopez, do you guys sell used Gen 1 Coyote Mustang engines? We do. We have some Boss 302 long blocks. Now, these engines, as we pointed out before, they don't have intakes, they don't have fuel rails, injectors, and all that stuff. They're valve covered oil pan. They're from Boss 302s. They're used, and there's something wrong with them. The ones that we sell have good compression, good leak down. There's no holes in the block. They're not cracked in half, none of that stuff. They're good candidates to rebuild an engine. That's not for everybody. If you're looking to build something special, it's a good core engine to start with because you get the Boss crank rods, pistons, and you can do some upgrades there. You get the CNC ported heads, the Boss camshafts. If you so choose to use them, you get the Boss valve springs, but they're used. We don't know the mileage on them. They're just good used engines. And we have them for the 5.2 Voodoo as well. So flat plane 5.2, we got core engines there as well. As far as used engines, though, as far as complete used engines, no. We got our crate motors, Gen 2, Mustang, $79.99 for those. They are brand new Mustang crate engines. Can't get those anywhere else as far as I can tell. For used stuff, Midway Mustang is a good source. Parts Farm I hear about, Mars. Just when you're buying, it's not just about getting the engine. Really plan your build out. Make sure you know exactly what you're going to be doing as much as possible. That way you buy what you need. Don't overbuy. You could overbuy this. You can buy a whole powertrain and it comes with a fuel tank and all that stuff, and you just get a bunch of parts dumped off on you, and you end up being able to start it up on a pallet, but a lot of the stuff is just not going to be used when you finish your swap. Control packs are still going to be your number one way of getting it running and running right. It's hard to pack all that stuff into an older car if you're trying to use exactly how they give it to you on a crank a pallet, as an example. If you're doing a Gen 1, Gen 1's the way you're going to go. You do have the opportunity to use most of that stuff more than any other powertrain that you can pick from Gen 2 or Gen 3. If you get a Mustang Gen 1, get a PCM, get an engine harness, get a transmission harness, all the sensors, all you need from us is a PATS delete and a body harness. Everything else gets used. So keep that in mind. F-150 S550 says, Gen 2 F-150 engine trans drove perfect, though without that signal, and my cluster reads correct, judging by Draggy app. There's something funky going on there, dude. I don't know why that is. Maybe reach out to Lund Racing and ask them if there's a different signal to pick up from or what they've encountered there. I'm not sure why you wouldn't see that, because that means if you put in any type of diagnostic equipment on your truck, you're not going to see a speed signal and the transmission's still shifting and everything. So maybe by any chance, do you have the wrong gauge programming? Do you have the pre-2008 instead of the after the 2008, so it's not seeing it? Check your settings just in case. Maybe that could be it. Let's see here. Wild Horse Garage says, why... Oh, I lost it here. Why do so many people go with Cobra Jet intake without going to aftermarket cams? For looks, I'm guessing, can't be that much, if any, gain over the Boss intake, I would think. Where we saw the Cobra Jet shine over the Boss intake in particular is in mid-range torque. The Boss intake lost 15 foot-pounds of torque. The Cobra Jet didn't lose torque. So in a way, it's 15 foot-pounds of torque or so on a stock engine better than a Boss intake, and it'll make more power overall. And it looks good. The Boss intake has its own particular look. The original Cobra Jet intake, I always thought looked really good with the Ford Racing logo, and then they got rid of that. They put that metal badge over the front. It kind of like, eh. So yeah, aesthetic has some value to it. Cams, I think cams are a big job, man. They're 12, 15 hours of your life if it's in a car. If it's in a swap car, can you even do them? Sometimes you can't because of room constraints. In 11 and up Mustangs, when we were doing them, it was all 12, 15 hours, and it was no guarantee it was going to be perfect because it could jump a tooth on startup. So that was a real pain. So I think money-wise, labor-wise, that's why cams aren't the first go-to. Cams also lose torque as well. So if you're ultimately trying to make the most torque and the most power, Cobra Jet intake with stock cams is probably going to give you that. NA at least. Let's see here. James Stone, do you have any budget-friendly 03 GTK member for a Coyote Swap? I'm doing research, and there are so many. Budget-friendly, I think the likes of UPR are probably going to be as budget-friendly as possible because they do have options to use stock control arms if you so please, and you don't have to switch to coilovers. That being said, remember, budget-wise, budget is important. Make sure you're buying stuff that works for you. Is it more expensive to go to a different setup? Absolutely, but there might be benefits to doing that. I don't want to pit companies against each other, but they all offer an upgrade here or there, whatever it is. The UPRK members work fine. We've had, they're on a lot of race cars out there. Also, keep in mind what you're planning to do with the vehicle, too. You don't want to put something on the car that could potentially need to be looked at more intently based on your use and abuse. So keep those things in mind. Economics are a big part of it. Make sure you're buying the right stuff for what you're doing with your car too. Let's see here. James Stone, do you have any budget? Okay, well, I just answered that. Duh. John W. Jr., got to run. Here's some site support money. Great info as always. John, you're welcome. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for choosing PBH. We appreciate that, brother. And have a good night. Let's see here. Donald Fuller. Jack Hilly's, this is very interesting. Got a tired 2000 GT, would like the performance. I got out of my turbo coupe back in the day. When I first started building my coupe, what I was thinking about was a 4-cylinder swap because we were thinking about doing it. And I thought maybe with a 4-cylinder, we could push the engine back a little bit further, get a little bit more, better weight balance. Jack can probably tune in on that as well. And it would have enough power. It would be enough power to have fun. 300 to 400 horsepower is fun. The Coyote does that easily. The EcoBoost can do it, and maybe it would sound cool, but it would be a 4-cylinder in a Mustang. So you gotta really like that. The SVO guys, I thought, were gonna hop all over this. Every SVO is gonna have a 2.3 EcoBoost from the newer generation Mustangs. They're gonna be calling, burning our phones down trying to do it. Just never happened. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, F-150, S550, you make a good point. During your data logging, if he didn't see speed from the transmission, he would have said something. And again, I don't think he'd be running and driving if it didn't see that. So I think it's in the gauge. Double check and make sure that the gauge settings are correct for the powertrain, because they do have a few different ones. You can choose like gas and diesel and pre-08 and after 08. And those things are going to matter because the addresses are different in the CAN bus and have different meaning. Juan Jimenez asks, have you done an episode about CAN bus? If not, can that be a future topic? Absolutely. I'll try to work it in the next few ones. I know we've talked about it a lot on different episodes. I'll see if I can find the episodes. I kind of plan on going back and going through them and making timestamps on the descriptions as well. But I'll write down CAN bus episode here as a possible, and how it applies to Coyote Swaps, basically, and what we can do with it and what's available out there. Dan Roberts, Frank, how's it going? Just got word that my Boss Core motor is arriving Friday for the Franken Cobra. Thank you, guys. Is there an upgraded tensioner for the PBH Roush bracket system? Mine broke. There really is no upgraded tensioner. We've never really run into a case where we needed them. A lot of the aftermarket blowers have gone to bulkier tensioners, but they're usually on their specific idler brackets. As far as an upgraded tensioner for the stock position, I don't think so. But again, very rarely have we run into that issue. I'd like to see what exactly failed, because if the tensioner failed, as if the spring blew out of it, or the mechanism had a problem, then it's more about, hey, I need something stronger. If the housing cracked or a nub broke off of it, it could just be a casting issue. It could be an installation issue, but it's hard to really mess those things up. You line up the dowel, you tighten the bolt down, and you're good. Where the belt was tensioned on there, we got to be careful with that as well, because if you're using a Roush, like our belt drives are designed for the 82 millimeter pulley on like a 2.3, If you try to run that belt on an 85, the pulley's bigger and the tensioner is maxed out, and that's not a good position for it to be in. So keep those things in mind as well. Email me. I don't know if you're working with anybody on our team already, Dan, but email me if not, info@pbhperformance.com, and I'll take a look at it for you. Yeah, Doug makes a good comment going back to the pricing stuff. He says he's got no issue paying more for quality parts with great customer support. Absolutely. I think there's value in the way I look at it is where you earn a customer, where you're going to better earn a customer is when things go wrong. We can use funds to advertise and get new customers, but are we really making good customer relationships just by selling stuff cheap or selling stuff in quantity? Where you're really going to grow a relationship is when shit hits the fan. And when stuff goes wrong, how you react to it, how you help the customer, what you can offer, being fair about things, all that matters, and that's what's on display. We don't always get that opportunity, and some people don't value that, or their expectations are just through the roof, and we fell short somehow. So, but thank you for commenting, Doug. I do appreciate that. Let's see here. Where am I? Oof, man, I'm missing a lot of stuff in the chat here. James Stone says, thanks for answering. I'm going to daily the car for the swap. I plan to switch coilovers. I want quality for my money. I would definitely check out Maximum Motorsports. They can set you up with what you need to do that, and then some. A lot of companies can. So do your research. Reach out to all of them, all the possibilities out there. The names that we hear on a regular basis are UPR, Maximum Motorsports, Team Z, QA1 was one of them that a couple guys were talking to us about. And that's really about it in the Coyote Swap stuff. So that's just about it as far as K members that I've seen and guys I've worked with. Let's see here. Project T-Top Coyote have any use a Gen 2 short blocks, have a Gen 1 motor, but looking to upgrade to a Gen 2 bottom. Yeah, absolutely. We used to do a Gen 1 crate engine that was basically a Gen 2 long block with Gen 1 cams in it when parts were readily available. Ford Racing actually ended up coming out with it after that as well. It's totally doable. All you need to do is find a Gen 2 long block that's in good, healthy running order. And what I would do is use the entire long block, because then you get the CNC ported heads as well. And just take your cams and timing gear and put it in that motor, and Bob's your uncle. Good to go. Our Boss engines are a potential candidate for you in that case, because a Boss Gen 1 Boss is basically what a Gen 2 motor became. So Boss rods, pistons, crank, CNC ported heads, upgraded valve springs. But in that case, if it's a good, healthy long block, I would still go through it and check it, but you get the upgraded cams, you get the upgraded valve springs as well, and you don't have to make too many changes other than some cleanup work. So that's an option. Jose Delgado says, that sounded like a dry cough. I don't know what happened. It's probably just from talking an hour straight, after talking for 8 hours straight, after snoring all night, that my voice was a little tired tonight. So a combination of things. And the sparkling ice may not be helping, but they get a free plug tonight, because it's delicious and it's so good for you. Clay Terry, Frank, when will the hot water tube be back in stock? You know what? I'll tell you right now. They're in stock right now. This is the stock one. This is the one we made to replace it. And this is the new one. And as you can see, in a direct comparison, this is the old one. This is Gen 1, Gen 2. This guy here now has a fatter barb at the bottom, 3/4, and the top one's 5/8. So if you have a heater core that has 3/4 and 5/8, now you can use a 3/4 hose, just run it all the way to the bottom, put a hose clamp on it. If you were going to use 5/8, just run up to here and put a hose clamp on it. It worked just the same. The heater hoses that we offer are going to change now as well, because we were just offering 2 5/8 heater hoses. They have the 90-degree bends built into them. Now we're going to give you in that set a third hose, which will be 3/4 with the corresponding clamps. You don't have to put a restrictor in either of the hoses because the passenger side fitting has that built into it. And if you're going to use this top one here, you're probably going to be cutting more off of the 90 after the bend. That way the hose isn't sticking all the way up. So keep that in mind as well. Don't cut too much of it off. You don't want the bend coming in here. You want that nice engagement here on the barb. That way you can put a hose clamp around it and it'll fit there nicely. So, yeah. Root beer's in the house. Look at that, dude. I'm late. Had to cook up some fajitas. Where are mine, bro? Where am I? I'll tell you what. Once I'm allowed to eat fajitas again, I will use these $10 and go get some in your name. I'll send you a picture of me toasting you with a margarita. Let's see here. What? I'm not sweating. I'm not sweating. It's just the camera. That camera, my cell phone camera, gives me a little glisten. That's why they put makeup on people before I go on TV. And I've been tested for COVID. I'm negative. So the dry cough, no big deal. So yes, Clay Terry, if you order hot water tubes right now, you're going to get the updated design. They are available. Can he taste the drink? Yes, I can taste it. Wild Horse Garage says he'd still give me a hug. Why? Thank you. Thank you so much. It's not Rona. Definitely not Rona. Let's see here. Frank, you mentioned Boss 2 cores. How much? The Boss 2 core engines we have listed for $4,000, and then we have the Voodoos for $5,000. Email me, call me. Might be able to take offers on that. I'll see if I can get one out the door for any cheaper, but it's usually that plus freight to get it to you. You guys are going. Clay, you're welcome, buddy. Foxcast Media. Oh, Caleb's in the house. Caleb, welcome. I know you're a little late, but you just returned from East Tennessee. Not sure why you went there, but hope you had a good trip. Hopefully we'll see you at the Holly Intergalactic Never-Ending Ford Festival. And I'll get up there this year and see you and hang out with you guys for a little bit. Hopefully that will happen. See if we got to a Good Guys event this year. I'm not sure. I got emotional there for some reason. Mike B, can you do that motion again with your fingers around the barb? Mike, don't make me feel uncomfortable, Mike. But yes, these are the barbs right here. I'll use one finger this time. But that's the 3/4. This is the 5/8. Was that where Ford Takeover was? No, I'm not. No, Foxcast. I think that's somewhere else. I'm not sure. Caleb will answer that. If you guys are in that area, that Ford Takeover is a really cool event that he puts on at his hometown track there. And I think they maxed it out this year. They ran out of room, he was telling me. So, good little track day. May have to find a bigger track to do it at. Maybe he'll combine it with maybe a Foxtoberfest thing too, maybe. Who knows? There's a track near Foxtoberfest. Maybe do something like that. Maybe have the Foxtoberfest people go to the track and do a combined event. Maybe. Let's see here. Check text, not telling yet. Well, I can't check my text right now because I'm using my phone. But hopefully, with the donations we got tonight, we will be able to finally use my Mag Daddy Canon N50 to broadcast a show. Got to get some gear for that. Waiting for that to roll through, so. We got a lot of stuff going on. Everyone's laughing at the display of the barbed fittings. Yep. Let's see here. James Stone, at Foxcast Media, I'm going to have to hit you up on my 03 Coyote Swap. I've been closely following your channel since I got my car. Yeah, Dover and Caleb can definitely knock that out for you. They just finished a New Edge Coyote Swap. They documented pretty well and used our products on it as usual. David Stewart, greatly appreciate all the info. Your videos have been really helpful in planning my Coyote Swap. Planning on an '08 Crown Vic LX Panther, baby. Will definitely be reaching out to you guys. Looking forward to it. I have a soft spot for those year Crown Vics, and Grand Marquis are always just fun cars. And Christian, who works here on the front counter, one of our lead sales guys, he has always had them. So they're a lot of fun. And Marauders are, I've always liked Marauders. So it might be getting hot on your guys' end of it because of what you saw with the barb action, but I'm cool, man. I'm cool. Yeah, hot barb. Yeah, we're gonna try to steer clear of the Alex Tuesday show conversation. I might be on one of those coming up. We'll see. And then we can get a little bit more into what he does and his style of things for here. This is about PBH, so we keep it a little bit more PG-13, a little bit more Disney style where the innuendos are hidden. Let's see here. Well, it's 8:15. I actually got to sign off here, get rolling. But I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. It's always fun to hang out with you guys and talk to you this way and get you information and get you as much tech as possible, answer your questions. Again, if we didn't get to a question you posted, maybe we skimmed through it, it wasn't in the super chat or something like that, email me, info@pbhperformance.com. We're there to help you and we can get you the answers that you need. Website is pbhperformance.com. We are on Facebook and Instagram, so try to find us and follow us there as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you have, thank you very much. Hit that notification bell. Make sure it says all. That way you don't miss anything that's coming up. Hats are available. Black and gray. $25 shipped. Email me, frank@pbhperformance.com. I'll put the information in the description of the video itself. Thank you again, everybody. It's very humbling every time we do this to see you all on here and joining this time with us. We're going to continue to try to pump out as much information as we possibly can. In our videos, we're going to drop another video tomorrow. It'll be about the updated barbed fittings to kind of lay out all the dimensions and part numbers and pricing. There is no pricing change. So if you order right now, you're going to get it. You're going to get the updated version. Hoses, I want to say there's going to be a price change because we're adding a hose to that. So keep that in mind. And if you have any questions, again, post it up on this video, relay this video, any of the videos, it all comes to me, and I try to get those answers out to everybody as much as possible. Thank you very much. Root Beer, Mike B, Jason, 2000 MCR, James Stone, Jose Delgado, Peyton Lucas, James Stone, for the camera gear. Thank you. At the last minute, buddy. We're going to get that cam card sooner than later now. So it's going to happen. And Alex also gave us a nice donation at the beginning there. Check out his channel. Check out Caleb's channel. Check out all the channels, man. Do a nice little sampler there. There's a lot of good guys out there. Filter out the ones that are a little bit of riffraff and nonsense, but the guys that are in the Coyote Swap game or the tuning game, Alex, Caleb, they give you some good information. So, and support our dealers. Thank you very much. Again, Kyle Newton for the shirt. PBH hats are available. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night. 64 Falcon. I got a 67 myself. I'm a Falcon guy. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one, guys. Oh, I lost the button. Oh, my Lord, I'm stuck here. Oh, there we go. All right, now I'm ready to go. Bye, guys.